This is how I describe my beautiful son to people. Huck Walton is compassionate, loving and loyal, adventuresome, really smart, curious. He's also incredibly talented, and I think believes in himself that he can do anything he sets out to do. I think that he comes from great parents, but also great aunts and uncles and great grandparents and other mentors outside of the family. But I think it's mostly his family that have led the way in terms of art and music and dance even, and in all the ways that he expresses himself now, at least up to this point, because I'm sure there'll be others. He's also a scientist, and a lot of people don't know that. He has a great scientific curiosity, sort of a logical part of his brain that really works well too. He's a philosopher, and I've had the joy of watching him from his birth to now, in 30 years. And I'm so fucking proud of him. Sometimes for his accomplishments that are obvious, but often for the more subtle things that he does. And the less applauded things. He taught me how to do that. And he taught me it was necessary to remind myself of those things that don't seem like they deserve a gigantic audience hooting and hollering, and it's the more subtle things sometimes. At one point he said, "Dad, I'm not even sure. I don't always know that you really love me for just who I am, because it seems like since I do theater, there's an easy chance to just say congratulations and I love you for your great performance." And I listened to that because I realized yes. And I said, I'm never going to stop that. But that is a part of it. And it's only a part of it. Because when a parent is proud, sometimes it shows more when it's easy, when you can give flowers, when you can give hugs and kisses because they've done something, accomplished something, especially in front of people. But I think that it's the admiration of him when he is talking on about something incredible from that fantastical mind of his. When he has an idea, and especially when the listener, even if it's not me, is engrossed and kind of going with him. And but you know, the great joy of being a parent is that you get to stand outside and you get to watch with no objectivity at all. But I'll never have it. It doesn't matter. I can do some things like direct him, or I can mentor, or directly teach him, but it's still my son. So nothing will change about that. I can't help it. I can't help but know this kid, this young man, this man, who is now turning 30. It's funny that age always seems like it's very important, especially in males. And I've always thought, well, it's the sort of pinnacle of youth. It's the time when you finally reach that apex, and from then down, it's downhill all the way. No, from then on, it's you're on your way sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes you add it up and it doesn't look like the way it was supposed to look, and I think probably more often than not that's true. I think it was for me. And I talked to Huck recently about accomplishing things these days that you didn't know you could do. You didn't know you could do certain things. But then you look back and you look in your grab bag and you look at all the things that you come to this age with, all the things you've learned. And some of those things have laid dormant, I think. But then you start calling on them and you realize you can do a lot. Because you sort of have the template by that time of what it takes. And if you don't know what it is that you have to do, you can learn about it. Or you can fake it. And a lot of times if you fake it or pretend to, it comes. The stuff will be there in front of you. You'll know what to do. And it's a great self-observation that he's making right now, and that I know that I've made before, many times, when you do a good job at something and you just say, well, where the fuck did that come from? And you could add it up. You could really look at all the details about all the ways that got you there, and it would make sense. But it's really in the act of doing it, finally. Doing anything you set out to do. And I think Huck believes that he can do anything he wants to do. And it's one of the greatest lessons he's learned. I don't know if it was instilled, maybe pieces of it were. I know his mom and I have helped him with that, have given him strength to believe in himself. That's a real sucky way of putting it, but that's kind of what it is. It is, I say in my play, it's a demonstration for me about what I think a full, true man is, a real man, a man. And Huck really is all those things. He demonstrates for others now too, but he lives in love, and he lives in curiosity, and lives in vulnerability, and lives in loving, and lives in adventure. And he also knows that the dark places are not bad. That sometimes they're resting places. Sometimes they're a place to just stop and give yourself a break, or recalculate, or re-up, any of those things. And they also Not that I believe in dichotomy, that things are black and white, but more so, I believe that things are black and white, but together they're gray. They're mixed. I think there's always, I don't want to call them good and bad because that's a judgment. And I don't mean bad as the judgment, it's bad. I mean that it's the darker things, maybe. Things we could connotate as badness. But he knows about those places. And he knows how to embrace those places so that they can bring him to a fuller, maybe lighter place. I love him very much. And it's really hard not to be with him day in and day out, but that's sort of not how things work anyway. When I was his age, I think there were 2 years when I didn't see my family. It's been a hard thing to let the umbilical cord break or stretch way beyond its limit with him, mostly because I just like spending time with him. And I know we'll be able to work together in the future. But right now I'm just fucking proud of my son, who's turning 30, for all the things he's done, and especially realizing the things that he hasn't done. My mom wrote to me long ago on a birthday and quoted someone. I don't know where it ever came from, but the quote has always been in my heart, and that is, becoming is far superior to being. My son is becoming. And he's becoming 30. Happy birthday, my son. I love you.